Why do people betray us after we forgive them? Why do enemies grow bolder when shown mercy? Today, we'll uncover why forgiveness can be a trap, and why strength demands a different path. In a world built on power and perception, mercy often becomes a luxury the strong cannot afford. While society praises forgiveness as virtue, history whispers a darker truth, one that separates rulers from the ruled, leaders from the forgotten, and predators from prey won. Power vis. Mercy, power and mercy exist in constant tension, like steel and silk. The pursuit of mercy may appear noble, but in the realm of authority, it can be dangerous, a soft whisper that carries the weight of weakness. Power demands respect, fear, and the assurance of consequences, while mercy suggests hesitation, an opening through which betrayal can enter. When a leader extends forgiveness too easily, it is not always seen as a gesture of strength. More often, it is interpreted as an inability to enforce justice. Those who are pardoned may perceive this leniency not as generosity, but as proof that their actions carry little cost. And when actions carry no cost, rebellion becomes an option rather than a risk. Power thrives on clarity. People must know where the line is drawn and what awaits them should they cross it. Mercy blurs this line. It creates uncertainty not about the rules, but about their enforcement. An enemy spared once believes they may be spared again. They begin to calculate, to test boundaries, to see how far the limits of forgiveness will stretch before punishment arrives. Each act of leniency plants a seed, not of gratitude, but of temptation. If defiance can be erased with pardon, why fear the act of defiance at all? Those who sit in positions of authority, whether over kingdoms, organizations, or personal boundaries, must remember that power is upheld not merely by possession, but by the perception of resolve. If that resolve wavers, if punishment gives way to sentiment, then the foundation of control begins to crack. Mercy may warm the heart of the giver, but it chills the loyalty of those who watch. They question whether their leader, once formidable, is now hesitant to wield the very strength that placed them above others. Yet there is a deeper danger. Mercy, when offered indiscriminately, can inspire betrayal where none existed. The bold see opportunity in leniency. They conclude that the risk of rebellion is low and the reward of defiance high. If the ruler forgives, the rebel gains a chance to strike again. If the ruler punishes, the rebel pays the ultimate price. Between these two, one fosters fear, the other emboldens ambition. Fear preserves order, ambition breeds chaos. Power without mercy can be harsh, but mercy without power is fatal. The balance is delicate, yet one truth remains clear: mercy must never appear as a substitute for strength. It must never replace decisive action when order is threatened. Otherwise, the very act of forgiveness, intended to heal, becomes the poison that weakens authority, corrodes discipline, and invites betrayal to return, sharper than before. 2. Perception of strength. Strength is not merely a matter of force, resources, or authority. It is a projection, a carefully maintained image that commands respect and deters opposition. The perception of strength often holds greater weight than strength itself because people respond not only to what is real, but to what appears unshakable. A ruler, leader, or individual who appears resolute inspires caution, loyalty, and even fear in those around them. Conversely, one who appears soft or easily swayed invites doubt, tests of boundaries, and ultimately defiance. Forgiveness, when offered too freely, undermines this perception of strength, signaling that discipline can be bypassed and authority challenged without consequence. The essence of power lies in the impression that it cannot be compromised. The mere belief that one's word is final, that justice will be swift and decisive, is enough to hold entire groups in line without the need for constant displays of force. Yet the moment forgiveness becomes habitual, this illusion begins to erode. People no longer see firmness, they see hesitation. They sense that the hand of authority trembles before striking, and that transgressions can be absolved with mere apologies or persuasive words. Once this perception spreads, control becomes increasingly difficult to maintain, not because strength has been lost, but because others believe it no longer exists. This perception extends far beyond acts of justice. In the realm of leadership, a single decision can define how others view your resolve for years to come. A punishment delivered with precision communicates authority, but a pardon delivered without consideration communicates uncertainty. Followers begin to question whether their leader is guided by principle or by sentiment. Enemies begin to wonder whether the line of consequence truly exists or whether it is a bluff. The perception of strength is fragile, and once fractured, it is nearly impossible to restore without an act so decisive that it wipes away all prior doubt. Forgiveness often carries with it the hope of loyalty born out of gratitude, but such loyalty is fickle. Gratitude fades quickly, replaced by the lingering memory that defiance carried no cost. Those spared by mercy are not bound by it, they are emboldened by it, believing that their misstep revealed not their weakness, but the leniency of their superior. Observers, too, take note, learning that rebellion does not lead to ruin but rather to pardon. In this way, the perception of strength diminishes, not only in the eyes of the forgiven, but also in the hearts of those who watch. Strength, therefore, is not about the mere capacity to punish or reward. It is about ensuring that every act, every decision, every response communicates the same unshakable message, that authority is absolute and hesitation has no place in its exercise. Once this image falters, no amount of words can restore it, only action can, and action taken too late often comes at a far greater cost than if firmness had been displayed from the start. 3. Justice over emotion. Justice is the foundation of power, not sentiment. Leadership, whether over nations, organizations, or personal domains, demands decisions rooted in principle rather than feeling. Emotion clouds judgment, bending what should be firm into what is fleeting. Mercy born from compassion may satisfy a momentary sense of righteousness, but justice requires consistency, precision, and the unwavering resolve to act in accordance with what preserves order. When emotion is allowed to dominate decision-making, the line between authority and indulgence blurs, and with it, the clarity that commands respect begins to fade. Justice carries with it the weight of consequence. It demands that transgression be met with response, not out of anger, not out of cruelty, but out of necessity. It is not a matter of personal feeling toward the offender. It is a matter of maintaining the stability of the structure one governs. When leaders allow themselves to be swayed by pity or affection, they risk replacing principle with preference. The guilty see this weakness and take comfort in the thought that their fate rests not in law or order, but in the shifting moods of those who judge them. This perception is deadly, for it invites calculation. How might one exploit the merciful side of authority to escape the weight of justice? Emotion is temporary, justice is enduring. When a punishment is rendered through emotion, whether anger or compassion, it lacks consistency. One individual may be punished harshly for a minor offense while another, committing a far greater transgression, is spared because of some personal connection or persuasive plea. Such inconsistency fractures the image of impartiality, suggesting that rules bend not under logic but under influence. Once that belief spreads, loyalty wanes and fear diminishes, for authority ceases to appear absolute. Justice demands restraint as much as it demands resolve. To punish excessively is to inspire hatred. To forgive excessively is to invite defiance. The balance lies in upholding what is necessary for order without allowing personal feelings to distort the severity or leniency of the response. This requires the cold discipline to see beyond the immediate and consider the long-term implications of every decision. What message will this act send? Will it strengthen the perception of authority, or will it soften it, making future challenges more likely? Leaders who prioritize emotion over justice often believe they are earning loyalty through acts of mercy. Yet the loyalty earned through compassion is fragile, quickly overshadowed by opportunity. Gratitude is fleeting, but the memory of leniency lingers as a signal that consequences are negotiable. Conversely, justice inspires respect because it is unwavering. It communicates that rules are not subject to whims, that order is not for sale, and that authority will not falter in the face of sentiment. 4. Fear vs. Love. The balance between fear and love has long determined the fate of leaders, rulers, and those who hold any measure of authority. Love, though appealing, is fragile. It requires constant feeding, constant reassurance, and an endless supply of gestures to maintain. Fear, by contrast, is self-sustaining. Once established, it endures without the need for constant reinforcement. People may grow bored of love, take it for granted, or test its boundaries. But fear commands obedience because it is tied to survival, and survival is a need that never fades. Love makes promises, but fear enforces them. When authority leans too heavily on love, it risks being seen as indulgent, overly forgiving, and easily swayed. Those who feel loved may begin to believe they can act without consequence, trusting that affection will shield them from retribution. This belief emboldens, and emboldened subjects, allies, or followers are dangerous. They no longer see the leader as untouchable. They see someone who can be appealed to, persuaded, or even manipulated through their desire to maintain goodwill. The very thing that should secure loyalty becomes the very thing that undermines it. Fear, on the other hand, is not born from cruelty, but from clarity. It comes from the understanding that boundaries are absolute, that rules are unbreakable, and that punishment will be certain and decisive. It does not invite negotiation. It does not allow for testing limits. It does not require the constant effort of reaffirming bonds of affection. Those who fear do not question whether they will be punished. They know they will be. This knowledge alone prevents many acts of betrayal before they are even conceived. The danger of relying on love is not only that it makes authority seem softer, but that it makes punishment feel like betrayal. When people grow accustomed to leniency, the rare act of justice feels harsher than it truly is, as though the leader has turned against them personally. Fear, in contrast, conditions people to accept consequences as inevitable, not emotional. They do not see justice as cruelty. They see it as the natural order of things, as predictable and unavoidable as the laws of nature. Love is also volatile because it is conditional. It thrives only as long as it is met with rewards, praise, or constant gestures of goodwill. Once these cease, affection fades, and loyalty with it. Fear is far more reliable because it does not require constant renewal. A single decisive act can cement fear for years, while countless acts of kindness may fail to secure true loyalty for even a season. Those who rely on love must work tirelessly to maintain it. Those who wield fear need only act with firmness and consistency to preserve their authority. 5. Strategic punishment. Punishment, when executed with precision, becomes not merely an act of justice, but a tool of governance, a signal to all who watch that authority is unyielding and decisive. It is not the frequency of punishment that secures order, but its strategy, its timing, its severity, and its finality. A single well-delivered consequence can shape behavior more effectively than a dozen warnings or repeated acts of forgiveness. It reminds not only the offender, but every observer that the cost of betrayal is absolute, and that the hand of authority strikes not from impulse, but from deliberate necessity. Strategic punishment is never born of anger. It is calculated, measured, and designed to serve a purpose far beyond the immediate retribution for wrongdoing. When punishment is administered recklessly, it risks appearing as cruelty, inciting hatred rather than respect. Yet when it is delivered with precision, it becomes a lesson, one that resonates through the ranks, dissuading future defiance and fortifying the perception of strength. People respect justice that is decisive. They fear authority that hesitates only long enough to ensure its judgment is beyond question. The key lies in finality. Forgiveness leaves the door open, inviting the possibility of repeated offense. But a punishment that is swift and definitive leaves no room for misinterpretation. Those who witness it understand that authority will not waver, that consequences are not negotiable, and that mercy is not a shield to be relied upon. The more public and undeniable the punishment, the more powerful its message becomes, not merely to the one who receives it, but to all who might consider walking the same path. There is also an economy to punishment. Leaders who punish selectively, choosing only the most necessary moments to make their strength known, preserve their image without exhausting their authority through constant displays of force. When every small offense is punished harshly, resentment grows. When major transgressions are ignored, rebellion brews. But when punishment is reserved for pivotal moments, moments where power itself is challenged, it strikes with the weight of inevitability and leaves no doubt about the consequences of defiance. Mercy can follow punishment, but only in ways that reinforce authority rather than weaken it. A pardon before justice erodes discipline, but clemency after an appropriate consequence has been served can demonstrate control. The offender has been humbled, the lesson has been learned, and the act of mercy becomes a final seal, rather than a substitute for strength. Yet even this must be rare, for mercy too often displayed becomes a loophole, and loopholes invite exploitation. Strategic punishment is therefore not merely about enforcing rules, but about shaping perception. It signals that authority does not act out of vengeance, but out of necessity. That discipline is not arbitrary but deliberate, and that the structure of order rests on the unwavering certainty that betrayal will always carry a cost. In a world where strength determines survival, forgiveness is often mistaken for virtue, when in truth, it can be the seed of downfall. Power endures through justice, fear, and decisive action, not through hesitation disguised as mercy. Those who lead must project authority so unshakable that no one dares to test it. Every decision, every consequence, must reinforce the image of control and command respect that lasts. If you seek more timeless lessons on power, strategy, and human nature, subscribe now and prepare to uncover stories that challenge what you believe about strength and reveal what it truly takes to hold it.